Prime Minister officially opens completed Sir John Guise Stadium. Boroko firefighters left without homes.
Never been done in our lifetime.
And PNG Power charges Port Moresby customers for stealing power.
This is National EMTV News with Mary Tulo.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. This is Tuesday's news. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill today unveiled a plaque to officially open the Sir John Guise Stadium. The new look Sir John Guise Stadium will be the venue for the opening and closing ceremonies and will also host other sporting events for the 2015 Pacific Games.
The Sir John Guise Stadium holds history to the significance of the Games in Papua New Guinea. It was built in 1991 and has been recently restored for the 2015 Pacific Games. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill said this world-class facility goes to show PNG's lead role in the region.
Makes me very, very proud as a Papua New Guinean to stand here, witnessing such a world-class facility like this. And as I said, credit goes to each and every one of you. Without your efforts, we will not be standing here.
The redevelopment of the Sir John Guise Stadium sees the facility upgraded from a 900-seat grandstand to one that can now cater for up to an impressive 15,000. The first test for the venue was done 2 weekends ago for the Intra-Super Cup match between the SP PNG Hunters and the South's Logan Magpies.
Not only for rugby league, but track and field, community events, you name it. This is a multi-purpose stadium for the benefit of our people and taking our sporting revolution to a new level.
Prime Minister O'Neill said against all odds we have achieved so much in the last 2.5 years and should be proud of how far we have come.
And as a result, many of our critics told us to cancel the hosting of the Games. If we had cancelled, we would have been the only country in the Pacific who have done so. And you would imagine what sort of embarrassment that will create to Papua New Guinea as a regional leader, as the biggest economy, biggest population, big in everything.
In his closing remarks, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill assured the people of Papua New Guinea that this will be the best Games delivered. Dion Kombag, National EMTV News.
Port Moresby is at risk should there be a major fire breakout any time from now. This comes as the main call centre at the Boroko Fire Service Station faces demolition. Firemen say the demolition has crippled the nerve system of operations in the city.
The demolition exercise started late yesterday afternoon and continued this morning. A private contractor was engaged to knock down residential buildings at the Boroko Fire Station. These included the single and married office quarters and some senior officers, most of whom have lived and worked there since joining the service.
For the last 30 years, we've been reside lawyer. But this plug and demolition exercise, it's never been done in our lifetime.
A total of 11 families reside behind the fire station and are now displaced. Speaking off camera, fire officers say the management has not considered the welfare of officers and the families. They say business houses are at risk, including residents of the city. And with the electricity switched off yesterday, the main call center is now affected.
So we are all over the places with the operational people. They are displaced. We are looking stupid in the eyes of public.
Firemen and women now want to stand down from duty and called on all residents of the city to report to other centers using their own resources. The demolition will see the construction of new buildings, but firemen and women want the fire service management to address this situation. It's not just the families that are affected with the demolition of the homes, but the main call center at the Boroko Fire Station is now out of service. Firemen say people and business houses are at risk and has also disrupted the preparation of the Pacific Games. Jack Lapava, Junior National, EMTV News.
The Melanesian Spearhead Group Foreign Ministers meeting commenced in Honiara, Solomon Islands yesterday. The meeting has convened prior to the Leaders Summit to set the agenda for endorsement and deliberation by MSG leaders. Papua New Guinea is represented by Acting Secretary for the Department of Foreign Affairs, William Dim.
The Melanesian Spearhead Group Foreign Ministers meeting started yesterday at the Heritage Hotel in the capital of the Solomon Islands. Under the theme, let us build a strong Melanesia in the Pacific, where peace, progress and prosperity is ensured and sustained for all, the meeting is attended by ministers for foreign affairs from MSG member countries and their representatives. Issues discussed included the report of the MSG trade ministers following their meeting in Port Moresby last year, the finance ministers and governors of central banks report, the criteria determining associate membership, the report of the senior officials meeting, cyclone recovery support to Vanuatu and the MSG Secretariat report. In his opening remarks, Secretary William Deem acknowledged the significance of the MSG and the need to collectively address the political, economic, social, environment and climate change issues in the region. He said this could be carried forward and progressed through the recently endorsed MSG 2038 Prosperity for All plan. Officials from other government agencies including Environment, Police and Border Development Authority are also in attendance. The foreign ministers' meeting ended today as the MSG leaders arrive in Honiara for the Leaders' Summit. Michelle Amba, National EMTV News.
National Planning Minister Charles Abel says the government has not been delivering as much as expected by the people. Today, he told participants during the Leadership Summit in Kokopo that this was fueled by loopholes within the country's service delivery mechanisms. Minister Abel says the implementation and evaluation processes will be revised and improved to ensure effective service delivery.
The focus of the Leadership Summit yesterday and today was centered around the Millennium Term Development Plans for Papua New Guinea. The issues of discussions have been on how the government can achieve its 5-year development goals by delivering to the people. But for that to happen, it needs a solid framework that should form the backbone of the service delivery pathway.
And number one, as driven by the PIM cycle, is planning, you see. Before we can execute something, you've got to have clear plans. So what we've done is let's quickly review the plans and make sure they're strategic, make sure they're principle-driven.
The Planning Minister says the government's implementation and monitoring policies will have to be revisited and improved. This means new avenues and stakeholders will be identified and engaged to deliver to the people.
We're trying to say we can deliver services to our people much better if we're a little bit more creative. And if we do simple things like tell the Australian government, fix the Angao Hospital. I don't want you doing 1,000 things and all sorts of meetings around the place talking about development, and it's all too thin and all too invisible. What government is saying is that we're fixing POMGEN with record amounts of money, you go and fix Angao Hospital.
No new legislations were made in this summit, but what were discussed were recommendations made on how the PNG government can deliver services very effectively to the 7 million people.
Create that pathway for us that will guide us to see that we probably must not rely on the extractive industry. We look at another approach.
Over the last 30 years, more resources have been pumped into various sectors like health, education and infrastructures to develop them, but the outcomes had achieved very little results. The blame has been attributed to the poor performances of public service machinery, and the outcomes of the discussions during the summit are expected to chart a new pathway for service delivery for the country. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
PNG Power Limited has charged 7 customers in Port Moresby for illegally stealing power. Customers have been warned to refrain from this illegal practice as there are tougher penalties that apply for those breaching laws. Tonight's special report is from Fabian Hakalitz.
The PNG Power Limited Investigation and Protective Service Group, with police assistance, began their patrol in Port Moresby city suburbs to stop illegal connections and charge people stealing power. 7 customers in Port Moresby were charged for illegally stealing power, and they could be forced to pay up to 5,000 kina or face criminal charges. 6 customers at Moitaka area, including an occupant of the abandoned Boroko Primary School and trade stores, were disconnected. The person occupying Boroko Primary School was confirmed to have been stealing power since 1998. He removed credit meters supplying power to 2 classroom blocks and bypassed connections supplying free power to his tenants who were renting classroom blocks for accommodation. At one classroom block, the credit meter was modified and bypassed with free power supply to tenants.
Power supply to these two classroom blocks were disconnected and service lines removed. It was also found Corner Kit Distributed Trade Store at Moitaka was stealing power for the second time. During the proclamation of the state of emergency on electricity in January this year, this store was identified for stealing power and was disconnected from power supply. However, Kit distributor owner illegally reconnected power supply again to the store and bypassed the new ECPay meter that was installed. The investigation team also found this new ECPay meter was not registered in the system and confirmed that it was done by a PPL employee. Further investigations will be done to identify the PPL employee who installed this ECPay meter without authorization and bypassed it for pre-power supply to the store. Just a few meters away, a popular liquor shop was caught stealing power by damaging the ECPay meter and bypassing it for pre-power supply. The illegal bypass and connections also posed a risk of electrocution. Therefore, linesmen disconnected supply and removed the service line. A customer at the Hanover village was also identified for stealing power since 2013 and power supply was disconnected. Records in the system shows the last cash payment was in December 2013. Since then, no more payments were made and pre-electricity supply used. The ECPay meter in this house was deliberately tampered with and power was bypassed. The ECPay meter was removed by PPA linesmen. During the state of emergency from January to March this year, customers stealing power were given time to own up to their actions and voluntarily go to PPL offices and pay for power theft. Thousands of customers responded, however, a few continued stealing power. The customers at Moitaka and Hanobada were told to go to PPL National Office next week where they will be disciplined and charged. Each customer is expected to be charged 3,000 kina for meter bypassing, new connections and investigation fees. Separate charges will also apply for the period power was stolen, so customers must be prepared to pay over 5,000 kina. Stealing power is a criminal offence under the Criminal Code and customers stealing power have been warned to stop doing it. Fabian Hakalitz, National MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. 50,000 kina fine for illegal gun smuggler and traditional Lay City landowners say no to Lay City Authority. Those stories and more when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. A Lay court has ordered a Japanese-Indonesian man to pay a 50,000 kina fine for smuggling 4 pistols and 19 fully loaded magazines in 2012. Yoshi Ikeda, a former employee of a Lay-based industrial company, appeared in court this morning after a decision was handed down a few weeks ago. The court has given him a 75-hour deadline to pay the money. Yoshi has also been given a suspended sentence of 2 years. Traditional landowners of Lay City, the Ahi, have said no to the Lay City Authority bill passed by Parliament until their demands for land usage compensation are met. Moreover, Governor Kelly Naru, accompanied by PEC members and the City Lord Mayor, Koim Truly Lay, met with Ahi landowners to explain the provincial government's decision to take the matter to the Supreme Court. The Moreover provincial government received overwhelming support at Butibam village today. Bethany Harriman reports.
Lay's traditional landowners, the Ahi, have rejected the Lay City Authority bill passed by Parliament. They have given their own petition to the government to meet their own demands before the bill can be established, and they support the Moreover provincial government's stance to take the bill to the Supreme Court. This morning, Moreover Governor Kelly Naru, PEC members and the City Lord Mayor, Koim Trilulei, explained why the matter is going to the Supreme Court.
Withdraw this act so that we can sit down and have meaningful dialogue and consultation and then agree on the way forward. Otherwise, at this point of time, you can see that Lay City Authority is going to be a no-go.
The Ahi people have been told by the Lay MP and interim chairperson Lojaya Kuza that the bill will include opportunities for an MOA that translate into a benefit-sharing package.
Well, that MOA should translate to a benefit-sharing package.
Your government is going to fight for you when it comes to benefit-sharing agreement, that we are already doing under this MOA that we have with the people of Wakang.
The inconsistencies of the bill were spelled out to the Ahi people today. The provincial government's argument is, with the bill, the national government takes away the service delivery function of the lay urban local level government and it leaves it as a policy-making arm, rendering it an incomplete government. Moresby Governor Kelly Naru explained that it was unconstitutional to have another authority, not mandated by the people, to carry out services. The provincial government is taking the matter to the Supreme Court. The Lay City Authority can't happen unless the Lord Mayor signs an MOA handing over the municipal functions of the Lay City Council. Now today, the Ahi, traditional landowners of Lay, showed overwhelming support against the Lay City Authority, and they've also stated the demands to the national government. Now, the matter will be taken to the Supreme Court, and the Lay City Authority is still trying to find its footing in the Moresby province. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Lay.
Flights into Wapenamanda in Enga province will be increased to meet demand. This was the assurance from Link PNG Chief Executive Officer Captain Daniel Wanma. A review will be conducted that will best suit passengers' needs.
Captain Wanma made these remarks recently during the presentation of subsidized airfares payments of 250,000 kina from the Enga provincial government to Link PNG. 13 years of partnership between both parties is now a model for other districts, subsidizing payments into passengers' airfares.
Private and public sector, and I guess civil society, to use the airport in the province to actually patronize it more so we can actually provide the service. As you stated, there is a cost to everything, and certainly with this sort of assistance and the model that we've created, it makes it feasible and viable for both parties to.
Enga, the home of the Porgera mine, is also the model province for education, and Captain Wanma says public and private sector must make use of the Wapenamanda airport because of cost variations involved. Provincial Governor Peter Eberta says the volume will increase in future as Enga continues to build its capacity.
So I can assure you that into the future I see that the volume will increase. There's no way we will decrease. We have a lot more activity going on in the province.
Governor Ipata said the provincial government will continue to provide financial support to National Airports Corporation and Link PNG in improving Wapenamanda Airport and air services. Fabian Hakalitz, National EMTV News.
Over 3 million kina was recovered after an audit into Southern Highlands Provincial Administration's payroll system. The audit was conducted by a private consultant with assistance from the Personnel Management and Finance departments. This money will now be used to fund extra positions within the law and justice sector. More than half of these positions created will be in the LLGs, while only 25% will be in the headquarters. The province is one of the first to introduce the one position, one person or PPP payroll system. Provincial Government's Human Resource Advisor, Andrew McLimbie, said this is part of the administration's restoration program. He says the province is one of the first to transfer its payroll system to the province from Waigani.
And some of the milestones, such as the payroll was transferred, we are the 6th province in PNG, and also we were the second government institution to be switching on the 1 PPP status, which is one pay, one person, one position. So, which means if a person is on payroll attached to that position, no one or two person is going to come and attach to the same position.
And now a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3645 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3570 $0.4590 Australian dollars, €0.3108 euro, and 43.62 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and coffee closed higher, while cocoa and copper closed lower. Palm oil and crude oil closed higher, while copper closed the day lower. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed 104 points higher, the ASX closed at 91 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 80 points higher. Here with National MTV News, a Moresby education officer compares education systems and sea levels in PNG to rise by a centimetre by 2030. And the cleaning up of Port Moresby continues. Those stories and more when we come back. Welcome back to the news. A senior education official in charge of rural schools in Moresby says the outcome-based education system lacked responsible comprehension methods. Nawab Education Coordinator Michael Gerson says the skills applied in outcome-based education lacks research methods. Students who have been part of this new education system continue to study in self-taught mode.
Education Coordinator Michael Gerson says the new education system is designed in a way that students would be in control of their learning skills. This comes following a high number of students in the country who have been going through an education system described as self-taught. Today, some of these students would require specific mentoring from their teachers. They are not familiar with research skills.
Research skills must be emphasized in the school level. Then each child will obtain and know how to go about the curriculum, and the standard of attainment will be occurred.
Since the newly introduced outcome-based education system is used in a self-taught mode, students determine their own learning. Unlike standard-based curriculum, students are taught in a scope and sequence mode. This means students are given particular topics of learning in a fixed time frame to fully understand the concept before moving on to another.
Okay, let's look at grade 1. Grade 1, there are certain words that they need to know. Not more than 5 or 6 letters in a word. They will learn such words like da, at, go, run. Gradually, when they reach another grade, then they add additional letter to the words.
The Senior Education Coordinator has described the foreign education system as not applicable to PNG. Most education professionals have called for changes to be made to improve the standard of education in the country. Others suggested that a tailor-made education system should be introduced to suit Papua New Guinean schools. Colin Barilai, National MTV News, Lae.
The sea level in Papua New Guinea is expected to rise by close to a centimetre by 2030. This means food and water supplies from small islands in PNG and the Pacific will be affected. Quinton Alom reports.
The rising sea level is expected to change the way of life for coastal communities. Experts predicted a 7 millimeters increase in sea level from the global average of 2.88 millimeters per year by 2030 for PNG. But Carteret Islanders may expect even worse. For them, it was predicted that the sea level may rise to 10 centimeters in the next 20 years.
So more and more land will be claimed by the sea, and we were saying that the island itself is actually sinking. More people will be displaced, more people will go into the other big islands, which has social implications.
This means people living in low-lying coral islands may have to be resettled, putting pressure on government's funding, infrastructure, education and health sectors. Already people are feeling the impact of rising sea level eating away their shoreline. While coastal communities are concerned about rising sea level, other associated risk of climate change will also stand out. Temperatures are expected to increase, creating a conducive environment for mosquitoes to breed, thus challenging government's intention to eradicate malaria. While impacts of climate change has already been felt, government and non-government organizations have tried to identify risk and vulnerabilities to climate hazards. World Vision Technical Advisor on Climate Change, Bonnie Bellonio, says the risks are controllable, but the challenge is on how to simplify the message to make people understand and mitigate effects of climate change.
And I think our role, especially for the media, to actually help them connect the dots and understand the reasons why these are happening.
Quintan Alomp, National EMTV News.
The cleaning up of Port Moresby continued today as more people joined in, including students of Pacific Adventist University and family members of police personnel at Gordon Barracks. Communities living on the NCD and Central Province border joined in the cleanup of the Moresby Northeast electorate today, mobilizing in smaller groups cleaning the roadsides. The cleanup exercise initiated by the Moresby Northeast electorate was initially to provide some form of financial assistance for the unemployed youth to watch the Pacific Games. Longtime staff of PAU, Justin Joffa, is one out of over 1,000 people taking part in the cleanup in preparation for the Pacific Games. Though this is a short-term goal to see a cleaner city, the district administration also has long-term plans to keep the city clean.
Northeast is made up of settlements. Na you look here, mo kata line or settlement asol, me bla involve mo lo just bla big bla clean aton. Na by staff igwena long 5 days all kata. Na throughout the Moresby Northeast electorate.
Coming up next is Trukai Sports. We meet some of our gold medalists from yesteryears and post PNG in the police tie a deal for the Trukai Fun Run. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
On Monday, gold medalists from the 1961 and 1991 Pacific Games were brought together for a quiet event hosted by the Games Organizing Committee to recognize their sporting victories. Athletes in the likes of Lily Tua, part of the women's 4x100 relay team, golfer Derry Nightingale and cricketer Charles Amini were among the crowd, speaking of the experiences of the Games to motivate this year's athletes. MTV's Lorraine Genia caught up with some of PNG's gold medalists.
Now, the Games Organising Committee had put together an event to commemorate and recognise gold medalists from the 1969 and 1991 Pacific Games held here in Port Moresby. Many of them reflected on the success, also giving words of wisdom and encouragement to the current Team PNG contingent for the 2015 Pacific Games.
Me like the whole same long, all girls play basketball long now, so solely I must want the coach belong all, team spirit belong all, one bell belong all can win him goal in this player, but time all Pacific Islanders come in, it's a rhythm game, now all can play.
Washington Bunyan, lightweight boxer from the 1991 Pacific Games, spoke of the boxers in particular and the amount of potential they have in disappointing their Pacific rivals in just 2 weeks' time.
You got to make use of all seconds that is counted in the ring. Shoot as much as you can to score points. And if you can do better, knock them off.
And a momentous occasion it will be for Charles Amini, former cricketer, also a gold medalist from the 1991 Pacific Games.
It's an honor to see your children carry on from what you do. So for Chris to go on and to lead the PNG team on this occasion, I was vice captain in 1991. So for him to take that extra step and be the captain for the Pacific Games, for the PNG team is an honor. My other son would have been in the team. He's in the Barriers. They're in Holland at the moment, but I guess I'm lucky I have two playing at the same time and representing the country on both occasions. But the Pacific Games is something to treasure.
All the success and victory from previous games aside, Amini believes this year's team has it and will certainly go a long way in doing Papua New Guinea proud.
A lot of our competitions are played overseas. You hear about the Barramundis or PNG teams traveling away a lot. In fact, I would say 95% of all your games are played overseas. On very rare occasions do you play at home. And the Pacific Games is one. In my career in particular, that's what I found. The only time I played in Papua New Guinea was during the Pacific Games. So the atmosphere is surreal. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Many of them backing Team PNG, confident that these are our games. Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
While much of the emphasis has been placed on the national sevens team, the Pukpuk's 15s have begun their preparation and campaign in the lead-up to the Federation of Oceania Rugby Union Cup. Trial matches were held over the weekend, with Nigel Genia making a comeback from Romania. MTV's Skola Sengi with this report.
While the national 15s team has slipped under the radar in the last few months, they have embarked on a campaign to take the Foro Cup off current reigning champions in the Pacific, Cook Islands. Last week saw the first of many trials to come for the team as they prepare for the tournament expected to be held and hosted in Port Moresby following the 2015 Pacific Games.
I think 80% or 90% of the players are mostly new guys. But the way things are going, especially with the Moresby-based players, they look promising. We've got two very good coaches that are taking the team, and things are looking good coming towards the Oceania Cup. And I think 2 weeks from now, there'll be a further trim down of the players in Moresby, and more or less working towards getting the full team into the Oceania Cup towards August.
Team manager John Havora confirmed the boys will head into a steady camp in the next 2 weeks. Halfback Libet Suang, who has been an integral part of the core team in recent years, has said the team will be ready, but they must focus on fitness and their defense in particular.
Game alright, but need lo. The side the defense need lo work hard lo defensive na need lo work hard lo fitness level to lo game.
The only change and potential inclusion to the side is younger brother of star Australian halfback Wilgenia Nigel. Genia had just returned to Papua New Guinea after a 6-month campaign in Romania with a rugby franchise.
Opportunity to come and join in with the 15s boys. The last couple of years I've been playing over in Brisbane and sort of holding back to come, but I think right now it just feels like the right time. I just want to come and for the chance to play for PNG. I think coming into the PNG setup, hopefully I can use that experience to help the boys within the squad.
The team will be confirmed in the lead-up to the Foro Cup next month. Skola Sengi, National, EMTV Sports.
Post PNG and the Royal PNG Constabulary have teamed up with the logistics company donating 11,000 kina worth of Trukai Fun Run t-shirts. The presentation of the t-shirts was made with Police Chief Superintendent Johannes and Amos Tepi, Chief Operating Officer of Post PNG.
Participating in the Trukai Fun Run bids late last year and purchasing just over 1,000 t-shirts, Post PNG's Chief Operating Officer Amos Tepi said the company was taking its social obligations more seriously.
Well, they give us strength and also expose us to the others as well, to know that we are not only doing the postal service, but also part of the logistics side as well. So that's where kind of like we rebranded our fleet and also diversify our business.
The shirts were bought for the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary, whose new recruits at the Bomana Police College will take part in the run, scheduled for the 5th of July, the day after the opening ceremony of the Pacific Games.
I think it will put PNG on the world map. The way we prepared ourselves with the government infrastructure development in the country, and that also help our participants.
The company has thus far supported the RPNGC for the 3rd year running and hopes to maintain that relationship in coming years. Post PNG's relationship with the police extending beyond just a fun run event as well.
We've seen a big change within a short period of time when we took over, and as a short time we've seen quite a lot of changes, and we have a very good dynamic management team, and our board is very good, support to management as well. Generally with the nationwide, I see a lot of changes, and this year only will be a challenge I can see, but the last year and that I have seen a lot of changes right across the country here.
The police force has made mention on previous occasions that they wish to maintain a peaceful and friendly feel for visitors coming to Port Moresby for the Pacific Games, and have been working closely with members of the PNG Defence Force as well to ensure operations run smoothly.
Taking pride in a game, and with such infrastructure put in place, it will help a lot of participants to win gold medals, and also I think a lot of Pacific Island countries will look up on PNG as like one of the leading countries in the Pacific.
Jeremy Mogi, National, EMTV Sports.
You're watching True Guise Sports. We'll have more sporting action for you after the break. Stay with us.
True Guise Sports.
Welcome back to True Guise Sports. To rugby league now, and crowd control and intimidation remains a concern for the country's premier Intercity Cup competition. Clubs have come under fire for poor spectator behaviour when hosting home matches. Over the years, confrontations between spectators, players and match officials have escalated into riots. This week, Wagitumbe and Engamiok's management will deliberate further with the PNG NRL over a spectator violence incident which occurred in round 9.
Wagitumbe have been fined a hefty 5,000 kina for the on-field conduct of their spectators, resulting in a number of Engamiok's players being hospitalized in round 9 of the Intercity Cup clash in Minj. PNG NRL have nullified the match between Wagitumbe and Engamiok's, resulting in a draw. Since the inception of the semi-professional competition, match officials, players and club management have been attacked for numerous reasons, scrutinizing the conduct of spectators. Clubs and players have been banned, home matches cancelled and heavy fines have been imposed over the years on numerous incidents. This calls for an increase in the number of security personnel to ensure crowd control and safety of all parties attending matches in respective centres. Engamiok's management are yet to release the names of players and the extent of injuries sustained during the confrontation. Respective club management and PNG NRL will further deliberate on the incident tomorrow in Port Moresby. Scholar Sengi, National, EMTV Sports.
To the NRL now, and the Sydney Roosters hung on for a 19-14 win over the St. George Illawarra Dragons in last night's match. Roosters Sean Kenny-Dowell had an outstanding performance, grabbing 2 tries and moving 1 try ahead of club legend Bill Mullins to 105 and now sits in second all-time behind Anthony Minicello.
They beat the Storm here. Monday Night Football.
The Roosters took the early lead in the match with a penalty, but the Dragons replied 4 minutes later with a try to Peter Matautia. However, it didn't take long for the Roosters to cross the line when Sean Kenny-Dowell scored just minutes later. The Roosters extended their lead in the 27th minute when Kane Evans charged over from close range for a try. Just before half-time, the Dragons grabbed the penalty and went into the break 14 points to 8 in favour of the Roosters. The Roosters were first to draw blood in the second half through Kenny-Dowell, but the Dragons struck back with a fantastic team try with Gareth Widdop finishing off perfectly. The Roosters sealed the game with a field goal to see them victorious 19 points to 14. Dion Kombang, National, EMTV Sports.
And that ends True Guise Sports for tonight. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours.
True Guise Sports. True Guise Sports.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. First of all, in the southern region, Port Moresby, dry although cloudy at times. Fine weather expected in Kerma and Popondetta, and fine and windy in both Daru and Alatau. Over to the Mumasi region, you can expect mostly fine weather. A shower or two expected in Madang, and a few showers expected in Wewak and Vanimore. Over to the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau, Kimbe, Kavieng, Kokopo and Rabaul, you can expect a few showers and mostly fine weather expected in Buka. And in the Highland region, all centres to experience fine weather with morning fog. Before we go, a quick recap of our stories tonight. Prime Minister officially opens the completed Sir John Guise Stadium. Boroko firefighters left without homes, and PNG Power charges Port Moresby customers for stealing power. And that has been the news, sports and weather for today. On behalf of the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.